record. Yeah. So today's session is very wonderful session. बहुत ही मजेदार सेशन है जिसमें हम लोग देखेंगे बहुत ही फंडामेंटल चीज जो कि हमें सभी लोगों को जानना चाहिए. तो मैं अभी स्क्रीन शेयर करने जा रहा हूँ आप लोगों के सामने अपने स्लाइड शो का, and then you will able to see my screen shared over here. So something in chat box. Okay, thank you. So yes, so hopefully you are able to see my screen. सब लोग मेरे स्क्रीन देख पा रहे हैं आप लोग, है ना? So let us go ahead. So हमने चर्चा की थी, आज हम लोग चर्चा करेंगे setting up the mindset. Okay, science of Ishvara, that's what we will be discussing today. So these are the things we are going to discuss. ये सारे चीज हम लोग डिस्कशन करेंगे. Simple formula to become happy. Simple formula. Okay, पहला चीज. दूसरा चीज है हम अपने बारे में जानेंगे कि क्या हम लोग बस केमिकल के बने हुए हैं, क्या हमारी पूरी की पूरी जो आइडेंटिटी है सिर्फ रसायन या केमिकल है. अगर देखा जाए तो हमारे शरीर में कार्बन, ऑक्सीजन, नाइट्रोजन, सल्फर, कैल्शियम, ये सभी चीज से ही हमारा पूरा शरीर बना हुआ है. लेकिन क्या बस हम लोग केमिकल है? क्या हमारा और अपने पेरेंट्स का जो फीलिंग्स है बस दो केमिकल के बीच का एक रिलेशन है और रिएक्शंस है? तो ये बहुत ही मजेदार क्वेश्चन है जिसको बड़े साइंटिस्ट सुलझाने में असफल होते हैं. और ऐसे बहुत सारे साइंटिस्ट के बारे में हम लोग आज देखेंगे जो इन सभी जटिल गुत्थियों को सुलझा चुके हैं, है ना? तो we will see that too. We will seeing that is there any existence of supreme creator or supplier such as God? God नाम का कुछ होता है क्या, है ना? तो उसको भी हम लोग देखेंगे. भगवान या फिर ईश्वर का कुछ होते हैं क्या ऐसे? We'll see a very wonderful story of Sir Isaac Newton. We'll see also many scientists testimonial about truth and God. Okay, भगवान के बारे में बहुत पावरफुल साइंटिस्ट के द्वारा जो बताए गए तथ्य हैं, फैक्ट्स है, उसके बारे में देखेंगे. और seeing the truth of God through common sense and at last 3 ways of gaining knowledge. So these all 7 things we are going to discuss today. Okay, so announcement little bit for all of you. आप लोग के लिए थोड़ा सा घोषणा है कि आप लोग कृपया नोटबुक पेन लेके बैठें. Take a lot of note. If you have your laptop then it's better. आप लैपटॉप के सामने बैठ के आप नोट ही बना सकते हैं, आप सुन भी सकते हो, तो आसान होगा. तो that will be nice that if you could take some notes also. Okay, so let's go ahead. Simple formula to become happy. What skill do you need to have a pleasure lifestyle? The first thing, what skills do we have? Do we need to have? क्या क्या हमारे पास स्किल होने चाहिए to have a lifestyle of pleasure? तो वो है बेसिकली these 3 things. 3 चीजें हैं जिसके बारे में बताऊंगा मैं. फर्स्ट वन इज आइडेंटिटी ऑफ द सेल्फ. हमें अपने बारे में जानना जरूरी है. हम बहुत सारी चीजों के बारे में कॉलेज में जानते हैं, जैसे बहुत सारे आप कंप्यूटर साइंस पढ़ रहे हो तो बहुत सारे प्रोग्रामिंग पढ़ेंगे, C++, जावा, then Python, then upon Python you will be creating so many things, websites and so on and so forth, right? But बनाते बनाते बहुत सारी चीजों को एक्सप्लोर करते करते बहुत बार क्या होता है कि लोग अपने आप को ही भूल जाते हैं, अपनी आइडेंटिटी को, अपनी साइकोफिजिकल नेचर को, वो है कौन, कैसे उनका जो लाइफ स्टाइल प्लेजरफुल होगा. अल्टीमेटली दे फॉरगेट दैट एंड दे लॉस्ट इनटू विल्डरनेस ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. अपने आप को वो खो बैठते हैं. अपने जीवन की जो वैल्यूज है या फिर जीवन का जो वाइज है, पर्पस of life, they feel like they have so many things, they have knowledge of so many things, they have a lot of money, but sometimes they lose their life's purpose and they feel like I actually not worth living. तो ऐसा कभी बार होता है. So this is very important for all of us to identify self first. Okay, दूसरा चीज है recognition of a super cognizant being or God. तो ईश्वर को समझना, उनको पहचानना. ये भी एक दूसरा बहुत ही important fact है, and we will see that too, and the process to connect to him. Okay, so before I go ahead in today's session, I quickly like to share with you one I like to share with you one very wonderful survey. Okay, just wait just one second. I will just quickly go ahead, and yes, here it goes. So yes, so yeah, so I'm just sending you this survey Google form. So please go ahead quickly into this. आप इस पे क्लिक कीजिए और कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं, कुछ प्रश्न हैं, उसको आप लोग भर दीजिए, है ना, बहुत जल्दी से। तो बहुत ही सिंपल क्वेश्चंस हैं, अगर आप भर दिए हैं, उसको आप गूगल फॉर्म को सबमिट कर दिए हैं, तो लिख दीजिए चैट बॉक्स में, जूम के चैट बॉक्स में डन, DONE डन, ठीक है। तो अगर आप उसमें आप भर दिए हैं तो आप लिख सकते हैं डन, बस आपका नाम और उसके बाद कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं, some questionnaires are there, and just you can fill it up and then you can just write down in the chat box done. Okay, quickly go ahead. Hopefully all of you are actually comfortable with this. So it is very nice that you attend this type of webinars on laptops, because in laptops it becomes easier. Okay, so it becomes easier with the laptop rather. Okay, last question. Yeah, there is no such last question. It just has been put by default. So that question is not incomplete. Actually, that's not the question only. So you can leave that. Okay. Okay, you can leave that question. You can leave that question. I did it actually, corrected it. So you can go ahead, and hopefully all of you have access to it. And some of you have. Subha is telling he didn't receive it. You can again try Subhijay. You can just go to the link, click it once, and I think you can get that. Yeah. So almost.
He joined late, sir. I think so. There just now again he reconnected, so maybe he will not get that.
Okay. Okay. So I will again, again I will paste it. Okay, I'm pasting it back again. So I posted it back again. I think now Subhijay can get it. Okay. If you have got it, Subhijay, you can just give me affirmation that you got it. Okay. So let's go ahead with our today's session. So I request that you just can keep your mic for time being unmute. I will request you, then you can unmute as well. Okay, let's go ahead. So we have been discussing this concept of three things. तीन चीजों को जानना हमें बहुत जरूरी है. There are three things. What are that? Identify the self, recognition of supercognizant being or God, and the process to connect to Him. Okay. So as some of you have filled that form, and I think I have the access of this Google form. So I like to see also that like what are your responses. Okay. So I see that almost all the responses has come. So 75% of you believe that there could be someone as God. 75%. 25% you believe that no, I don't believe in the God. And none of you are in confusion. Like nobody has filled any option like not sure or eager to explore. Nothing like that. Okay, so do you believe that you are something more than just chemicals, Yeah, everybody believe that. Yeah, that's great, that's wonderful. आप लोग सभी कम से कम इतना तो आपके आपका विश्वास है कि आप केमिकल्स नहीं हैं. That's very powerful, wonderful thing. Okay, so thank you so much all of you for feeling this. Yeah. Oh, no, just now one more. Okay. Someone also believe that he just chemical also, like maybe one or two of you. Okay. So yeah, thank you so much for filling this wonderful form, and we get a very quick poll. Okay. So we'll go ahead with our session today. So we were here. So, and the process to connect them, these three things are. So let's see how it actually anyway makes sense. मतलब कि identity of the self, whether it's actually whether required or not. So these things are very important to know. So first thing that if somebody asks you, who are you? Then usually college, what we learn, like somebody was asked that, who are you? What did you learn in college? Basically, he said, basically that I learned nothing but that to understand that we are just chemicals. हम लोग बस chemical के bundle हैं. So actually नहीं. So we are not just chemical, a bundle of chemicals. Bundle of chemicals अगर होते तो अगर कोई आपको ना किसी को कोई शूट कर देता है ना, मार देता है गोली, तो उसको पकड़ के जेल में डाला जाता है कि नहीं. तो उसको पकड़ के ये नहीं बोला जाता है कि अरे अगर कोर्ट में उसको ले जाया गया तो बोला जा सकता है कि देखो भैया, मैं केमिकल, वो केमिकल को एक दूसरा केमिकल गोली मार दिया, तो डंप कर दो उसको कहीं पे, है ना, उसका केमिकल निकाल लो, वैल्यू मिल जाएगा आपको. मैं भी तो केमिकल को जेल में रख के क्या फायदा. So actually there is beyond chemical something, so that we will see also in this near future, maybe in the last session we will be seeing. So many times we feel like, no, actually there is no scope, or there is no requirement of someone to be God, like someone like God to exist in the world or somewhere. Like there cannot be any someone like, because if someone is there as God, then means we could see him or her. अगर कोई भगवान नाम को कोई चीज होता है तो हम लोग उसको देख सकते थे, लेकिन हम लोग देख नहीं सकते हैं. So sometimes, no, to become happy, we must need very basic values. Basic values means that is actually coming from the inner self. So very basic value is like gratefulness. Like in our life, you see most of the things हम लोग कहीं से प्राप्त करते हैं. We get from somewhere. ऐसे हमें ये शरीर प्राप्त हुआ है, अपने माँ से प्राप्त हुआ है कि नहीं. Everybody has got the body from their mother, right? उसके बाद we have got clothes to wear from our parents. अब तक जब तक आप सैलरी नहीं कमा रहे हो, तब तक आपके मम्मी पापा ही आपका केयर कर रहे हैं, क्लॉथ्स दे रहे हैं, सब कुछ दे रहे हैं, है कि नहीं. तो similarly we see we get food from our parents, of course, till now. And thank you so much, Jyoti, for filling that form. So we get food from our parents, right? Then what? We get education from our teachers. Our first teacher, our mother, and then it goes on. And now we have so many teachers, and after that in college we have many teachers. So we get education from our teachers, we get salary from our boss, and at last you can say that after getting graduated, we are going to create so many things, and now we are the creators. But even though whatever silly things we are actually creating, the intelligence, जो intelligence है, बुद्धि देने वाला भी कोई दूसरा ही आदमी है. That we will see in today's session. We get everything from others only. And at last, when creative intelligence, जो बुद्धि है, सृजन की शक्ति है, जो हमारी क्रिएटिविटी है, वो भी कहीं से import करते हैं हम लोग. तो a grateful heart is a happier heart. This is a simple, very simple actually formula to become happy. So this is a particular, a quote from Sir Isaac Newton. I request anybody of you, no, not anybody of you, just I will take at random. I request Abhishek Gupta, if you are there in front of us, please unmute yourself and please read this particular quote from Sir Isaac Newton. Abhishek Gupta, yes.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, Prabhuji, I could see this.
Yeah, can you please
Yeah,
read
can you
this?
please? A grateful heart is the happier heart.
Yeah,
I don't. I do not know what I may appear to the world, but to myself I seem to have been only like a boy playing on the seesaw and diverting myself in now and then finding a smoother pebble or a prettier shell than ordinary. Whilst the great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. Sir Isaac Newton.
yeah.
Hare
Thank you
Krishna.
so much, Abhishek. So this is what is told by whom? The greatest physicist of last century. Greatest physicist. After him, there is only one physicist, Albert Einstein, who become very famous. But we know this Sir Isaac Newton, and this tree you are able to see tree. This particular tree here, it is the same tree below and beneath this tree. This Sir Isaac Newton actually got the intelligence of finding the law of the gravitational pull, right? This is the mango tree. This is the same mango tree. It's still alive. So the intelligence is also actually being given, and that is the actually testimonial given by Isaac Newton. Isaac Newton क्या बोल रहा है कि मुझे नहीं पता कि क्या दुनिया वालों को लगता है मेरे बारे में दुनिया वाले लोग क्या सोचते हैं, मुझे नहीं पता, लेकिन मुझे इतना पता है कि मैं एक छोटे से बच्चे के समान हूँ, जो कि समुद्र के किनारे में, समुद्र के जो क्या बोलते हैं शोर पे मैं खेल रहा हूँ। तो बच्चे खेलते हैं समुद्र के किनारे तो क्या करते हैं, छोटे छोटे जो पेबल्स होते हैं, छोटे छोटे पत्थर होते हैं ना, उसमें वो क्या करते हैं, देखते हैं कि कौन सा बेटर पत्थर है, कौन सा अच्छा है, तो वो चुनते हैं। और इस तरीके से वो बोल रहा है कि आई एम जस्ट लाइक चूजिंग द पेबल्स, पत्थरों को चुन रहा हूं, लेकिन इससे भी बड़े बड़े, इससे भी महान महान जो ट्रूथ्स हैं, जो सच्चाइयां हैं, वो समुद्र के गहराइयों में है, which is actually unveiled only by the permission of God. So he's telling, was a great ocean of truth lay all undiscovered before me. So he owe a lot to the intelligence provided by a supernatural source of intelligence, or God. So this is what Isaac Newton has to tell. Now let's go ahead to the next slide. So can there be the supreme supplier or the supreme controller of this universe? So we will see that, because now we are in the second section of our today's discussion, what we have actually seen in the beginning of our slide. So can you say anything behind which no brain is involved around your, like whether you are in a room, अगर आप रूम पे हैं या फिर कहीं पे हैं, अगर आप सामने देखेंगे, जो कुछ भी आपने देखा है, 100% श्योर है कि उस चीज को बनाने में ब्रेन लगा है। कोई भी चीज, या फिर दीवार ले लो, या फिर मैट्स ले लो, टेबल ले लो, यहाँ पे मेरे सामने स्क्रीन लगा हुआ है, वो ले लो, कुछ भी अगर देखो तो सबके पीछे ब्रेन लगा हुआ है। So scientist testimonial about God and science. Let us see what greatest of the scientists had to say about God and the science. Okay, so we'll see one by one. This is the personality, as you know, very famous personality, Albert Einstein. What he has to say. He says there is a perfect brain behind all those, okay, sorry, all those natural physical laws. So Albert Einstein बोल रहे हैं कि प्रत्येक फिजिकल लॉज हैं, सबके पीछे एक परफेक्ट ब्रेन है। उसी तरीके से नोबेल नोबेल प्राइज, नोबेल लॉरेट फिजिसिस्ट एडविन श्रोडिंगर, सबको पता होगा, आप लोग फर्स्ट ईयर में पढ़ेंगे भी श्रोडिंगर इक्वेशन। Most of you might have heard or maybe read. I read in my 12th Schrodinger equations. It was quite tough to remember me. So he said, the real world around me is very deficient. It gives a lot of factual information, puts all our experiences in a magnificent, consistent order, but it's ghastly silent about all and sundry that is really near to our heart, that really matters to us. It cannot tell us a word about red and blue, bitter and sweet, physical pain and physical delight. It knows nothing of beautiful and ugly, good or bad, God and eternity. Science sometimes pretends to answer questions in these domains, but answers are very often so silly that we are not inclined to take them seriously. तो श्रोडिंगर बोल रहे हैं कि बहुत सारे चीज को हम लोग देख सकते हैं, है ना, बहुत सारे चीज को हम लोग माप सकते हैं, बहुत सारे चीज के ऊपर एक्सपेरिमेंट कर सकते हैं, लेकिन कुछ ऐसे ऐसे चीजें मौजूद हैं जिसके ऊपर ये सारी चीजें कोई भी कार्य नहीं, कोई भी काम की नहीं होती. जैसे आनंद कोई बना सकता है क्या? आनंदोमीटर और प्लेजरोमीटर. एनीबॉडी कैन क्रिएट प्लेजरोमीटर. हाउ मच वन इज हैप्पी to know that and how much one is suffering to know that. Can anybody can make what is actually called miserable meter? कितना कौन suffering कर रहा है उसका कोई बना सकता है कि नहीं बना सकता है? So physical pain, and somebody can create like a type of sense of what is good and what is bad. No, what is God and what is eternity. So modern science, as we say, is quite very much blind about this most important emotions of our life. कोई भी आदमी अगर आपको एक मशीन दे दी है जो कि आपने लाइफ में आपको सबसे अच्छा लगता है और आपसे बात करने वाला कोई नहीं, आपके साथ इमोशन शेयर करने वाला कोई नहीं है, तो क्या आप अपना लाइफ जी सकते हो? कोई नहीं जी सकता है. आपके साथ बेस्ट एंड्रॉइड फोन है, हाई स्पीड नेट है, हाई स्पीड नेट है, लेकिन आपको किसी से बात नहीं करना है, तो क्या आप कितने दिन जी सकते हो? आपके पास वीडियो गेम है, सब कुछ है, लेकिन 1 से 2 दिन, उसके बाद आप क्या करोगे? आप बाहर किसी से बात करना चाहोगे. So from where these feelings are coming? Actually, the modern science is quite very much blind about this. That's what Nobel laureate Irving Schrodinger says, that ultimately the most important aspects of life, living, is actually not understood and explained by measurable machines. Okay, those machines or those units or those benchmarks what is being used for measuring quantified tangible objects. Okay, so Calvin क्या बोलते हैं? If you think strong enough, you will be forced by science to believe in God. This is told by Lord Calvin. अगर आप अच्छे से सोचो तो ultimately you will able to believe that there is God. Okay, now there is a story of Sir Isaac Newton. So how many of you are ready to go ahead with this wonderful story of Isaac Newton? If you are ready to go ahead, please write down in the chat box ready. Okay, READY. Quickly, आप लोग जल्दी से लिख डालिए ready in the chat box. Then I will go ahead. Thank you, Amit, for writing. I expect all of you writing, so that I could get some encouragement to go ahead. Thank you so much, Shubham, Abhishek, Rishabh. Okay, so once what happened, this Isaac Newton was actually sitting in a chamber, and he had many friends, of course. Being a scientist, he was having many friends. So one day what happened, one of his friend, Isaac Newton का एक दोस्त, मैंने उसको सोलर सिस्टम का एक बहुत ही अच्छा मिनिएचर, है ना, मिनिएचर प्रोजेक्ट, आई मीन मिनिएचर मॉडल उसको गिफ्ट किया. इसमें एक छोटा सा क्रैंक वहां से उसको घुमाने से क्या होता, पूरा का पूरा जो प्लैनेटरी सिस्टम है वो घूमने लगता था ऐसे करके. तो शाम को आके एक दोस्त ने उसको दिया ये मॉडल. अगले दिन उनका एक दूसरा दोस्त आता है, वो पूछता है कि आइजैक, ये मॉडल कहाँ से मिला तुझे? तो बोला कि अरे इट्स नॉट सीरियस मैन, कम ऑन, जस्ट डिस्कस समथिंग मोर इम्पोर्टेंट देन दिस. तो नहीं यार, सही में तो बहुत अच्छा है, एक बार इसका क्रैंकशाफ्ट घुमाने से पूरा का पूरा प्लैनेट पूरा ऐसे घूम रहा है, सूर्य के चारों तरफ ऐसे घूम रहा है, बहुत अच्छा है। तो बोला कि तो बताओ ना किसने दिया, किसने बनाया ये? तो आइजैक न्यूटन बोलते हैं कि किसी ने बनाया यार। आज सुबह मैं दरवाजा खोला और पाया कि अरे मेरे टेबल के ऊपर तो कितना अच्छा ये प्लानिटरी सिस्टम का मॉडल है। तो वो दोस्त बोला कि यार क्यों मेरे साथ अब बकवास कर रहे हो, कोई तो बनाया होगा ना, व्हाई यू आर किडिंग विथ मी। तो ये प्लानिटरी सिस्टम अपने आप कैसे आ सकता है? तो बोला न्यूटन, बोला सही में यार अपने आप आया है, तुम क्यों नहीं मानो, ये अपने आप आया है। मैं कल देख के गया था, कुछ नहीं था, और आज दरवाजा खोला और मैं देखा कि मेरे टेबल के ऊपर ये प्लानिटरी सिस्टम का मॉडल है। तो तंग हो गया वो, बोला कि न्यूटन आई डोंट नो व्हाट हैड हैपेंड टू इट। देन न्यूटन इज टेलिंग, न्यूटन बोल रहा है कि माय डियर फ्रेंड, you believe that whole planetary system, the real planetary system in which there are so many planets, sometimes no Plato or seems to be like among 9 planets or sometimes not, इतने कॉम्प्लेक्सिटीज के साथ इतना स्मूथली घूम रहा है, तो आप बोलते हो कि उसको बनाने वाला कोई नहीं। तो ये तो उसका बस एक छोटा मिनिएचर है, इट्स नॉट अ रियल थिंग, इट्स जस्ट अ मिनिएचर। Why you are not believing that it has also just come by chance, and it has just come by nowhere, जैसे बस मैं इच्छा किया और आ गया। तो then he understood that yes, behind this wonderful creation, wonderful arrangement of different planets, comets, and stars, and different big Milky Ways, and so on and so forth, there is someone to control. And if we are not able to see him, just like इस आइजैक न्यूटन का जो मॉडल था प्लानिटरी सिस्टम का, उसको बनाने वालों को उन लोग देख नहीं पाए, देखा नहीं, उसका दोस्त नहीं देखा। इसका मतलब ये नहीं कि उसका दोस्त बनाने वाले को देखा नहीं तो बनाने वाला नहीं है। By seeing the things we can understand that who has made it. Okay, so let's go ahead quickly. So similarly, now this is what we have just seen quite few slides before. The same thing is written over again. Okay, so no, this is something else. So I request some of you, I think one of you like Adarsh Kumar, if you are there audible, then please can you please go ahead with this particular quote by Sir Isaac Newton. You can unmute yourself, Adarsh. You can unmute yourself, and then you can go ahead with this particular quote spoken by Sir Isaac Newton. Others, are you able to hear us? Okay. Others. Okay. Amit Pandey. Yes. If others is maybe gone somewhere, so I request Amit Pandey to quickly go ahead with this. Yes. अमित पांडे, अगर आप सुन पा रहे हैं मुझे, तो ये सर आइजैक न्यूटन का जो एक कोट है उसको आप पढ़ डालिए, है ना? हेलो, हरे कृष्णा। Is there some problem? Are you able to hear me all?
Yes.
Yes. So, I don't know, Amit Pandey, if you are able to hear me, Ayushman, Acharjo, or are you able to unmute yourself or not? Can you check it out in the that they're able to unmute themselves and able to read it?
Yeah, they can unmute themselves actually.
Yeah, but somehow maybe okay. Okay, so I will read this for all of you. This most beautiful system of the sun, planets, comets could only proceed from the counsel and dominion of an intelligent and powerful being. This being governs all things, not as the soul of the world, but as Lord over all, and on account of his dominion, he is to be called Lord God, universal ruler. Okay. So this is actually spoken by Sir Isaac Newton. So this is a matter of fact that actually there is the existence of God when someone goes deep into the science. Then one can able to see it, and even before also one can know. And this is also told by Max Born, one of the very great physicists, Max Born. What he says, I saw in it the atom, the key to the deepest secret of nature, and it revealed to me the greatness of the creation and the creator. Okay. So similarly, in this Srinivasa A. Ramanujan, he has to say, an equation for me has no meaning unless it represents a thought of God to me. Okay. So this is a famous mathematician. So famous mathematician from South India. So he's the person when he went to Oxford University. So and he had a copy of Bhagavad Gita with him. And one of the professor of Oxford University asked Srinivas Ramanujan that, hey Ramanujan, you're such a great mathematician. आप इतने महान गणितज्ञ हो और आप भगवद गीता लेके पढ़ते हो. तो देन रामानुजन ने बोला कि आप इतने बड़े यूनिवर्सिटी के प्रोफेसर हो और आपने कभी भगवद गीता पढ़ी नहीं. आपने भगवद गीता पढ़ी है, पढ़ के तो देखो. So that's what is actually the ideal of great thinkers and scientists. Okay, now let's go ahead with our next slide. There is a higher power not influenced by our wishes, which finally decides and judges. Werner Heisenberg. तो एक्चुअली ये सब मैं आप लोगों को यही इसलिए बता रहा हूँ क्योंकि आप लोग सब लोग साइंस के स्टूडेंट्स हो और इस सारे लोगों के बारे में आप जानते होंगे. वर्नर हाइजेनबर्ग, जो कि अनसर्टेनिटी प्रिंसिपल दिया है. बहुत सारे लोगों ने एटॉमिक थ्योरी दी है ना, शुरू से लेके अंत तक. थॉमस, थॉमसन, then Rutherford, then came Niels Bohr, and then came Schrödinger. और इस तरीके से एटॉमिक थ्योरी देने वाले लोग आए और अंत में वर्नर हाइजेनबर्ग आके क्या बोलता है, वो प्रिंसिपल देता है, थ्योरी नहीं देता. प्रिंसिपल थ्योरी में अंतर होता है. प्रिंसिपल मतलब कि एक ऐसा चीज जो कि ट्रुथ अभी है और हमेशा रहेगा. तो थ्योरी एक ऐसा चीज है कि बस एक एजम्पशन दिया है कि ऐसा ऐसा हो सकता है ना. ये सारे अगर पोस्टुलेट्स अगर देखा जाए, ये सारे कंडीशंस रहेंगे तो ये वाला जो थ्योरी है वो काम कर सकता है, लेकिन गारंटी नहीं है. लेकिन हाइजेनबर्ग ने बोला कि दिस इज द प्रिंसिपल दैट यू कैन नॉट अंडरस्टैंड द रियल मोमेंटम एंड पोजीशन ऑफ एनी एलिमेंट इन द एटम. एटम में प्रत्येक एलिमेंट का, स्पेसिफिकली इलेक्ट्रॉन्स, प्रोटॉन्स, न्यूट्रॉन्स का आप पोजीशन और मोमेंटम डेल्टा एक्स एंड डेल्टा पी you cannot ascertain it. Automatically there will be some disbalance. If you try to balance or know particular delta x, then you will be getting disbalance of momentum. So like this we see there are many scientists has to say, like we see here this Michael Faraday, we ought to value the privilege of knowing God's truth far beyond anything we can have in this world. So like this, all those great scientists of the century, the previous century, had to say that actually ultimately there is someone called God. Okay, so common sense tells us, common sense, अरे साइंटिस्ट की बात है तो कॉमन सेंस बताता है कि there is someone behind the curtain. कोई तो है जो कि दिख नहीं रहा है लेकिन वो सारी चीजों को वो अंजाम दे रहा है. इस कॉमन सेंस. लेकिन हम लोग देखते हैं हमारे अपने घरों में बहुत अच्छे से सामान रहते हैं, टेबल है, चेयर्स है, वंडरफुल क्राफ्टमैनशिप ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. हम बोलते हैं कि सब लोग बस सारी चीजों को बनाने वाले हैं, हम लोग देख पाते हैं. लेकिन जब यूनिवर्स के सामने आते हैं, सच्चे वंडरफुल जाइगेंटिक मिल्की वे गैलेक्सी और नो एनी सो मेनी गैलेक्सीज इन यूनिवर्स, और उसको बस डिजाइन बनाने से ही लगता है कितना सुंदर है. लेकिन अगर उसके बारे में पूछा जाए तो इसका क्रिएटर कौन है, अरे क्रिएटर तो हमें दिखता नहीं है, तो वो कैसे हम विश्वास करें, है कि नहीं. तो एक छोटे से टेबल बनाने के लिए कितना बड़ा क्रिएटर चाहिए, टेबल का 2 गुना क्रिएटर होता है कि नहीं. एक टेबल का जो क्रिएटर होता है, अगर आपके गांव में या फिर शहर में वो जो बढ़ई होते हैं ना, कारपेंटर, वो कितना बड़ा, कितना उनका साइज होता है, टेबल का 2 गुना या 3 गुना. तो यूनिवर्स को बनाने वाले का क्या कितना साइज होना चाहिए, यूनिवर्स से छोटा या फिर यूनिवर्स से बड़ा. and he could be supreme controller and supreme powerful person. So he can have the right to be in front of us or not. He can have the right. Okay. So this is common sense. We see many great architects like Burj Khalifa. ये है बुर्ज खलीफा, इतना बड़ा विशालकाय बिल्डिंग है अरबिया में. इसको बनाने वाले हैं, इसको बनाने वाला कोई इंजीनियर ही बनाया होगा. लेकिन अगर हम बात करें प्लैनेटरी सिस्टम का तो बोलते कि नहीं, इसको बनाने वाला कोई नहीं. उसी तरीके से कितना अच्छा आर्ट क्रिएशन है, हमने बनाया है. लेकिन जब इस अर्थ के बारे में अगर देखते हैं, अर्थ के बारे में, तो इसको बोलते हैं कि इसको कोई बनाने वाला नहीं है. जैसे अर्थ है, इसके ऊपर है बहुत सारे स्फीयर्स हैं, ट्रोपोस्फीयर, स्ट्रेटोस्फीयर, मेसोस्फीयर, थर्मोस्फीयर, एक्सोस्फीयर. अरे ऐसे है कि अगर एक भी स्फीयर को अगर हटा दें तो लाइफ पॉसिबल नहीं है. देयर इज नो पॉसिबिलिटी ऑफ लाइफ ऑन द अर्थ. सबसे ऊपर में एक रेडिएशन बेल्ट है, वाल एलन रेडिएशन बेल्ट, जो कि कॉस्मिक रेज को अंदर घुसने से बचाता है. तो कितना अच्छा हमारा अर्थ है, जिसको इतने बड़े और इतने पावरफुल सिस्टम से इसको बचा के रखा गया है. तो आपको नहीं लगता है कि कितना बड़ा इंजीनियरिंग लगा हुआ है इसमें और कितना बड़ा ब्रेन लगा होगा. वी हैव पावरफुल एनर्जी सोर्सेस एस्टैब्लिश्ड बाय मैन, जैसे न्यूक्लियर रिएक्टर्स. इसमें बहुत ब्रेन लगता है बनाने में. Most of you have read, I think, in the science that how the nuclear reactor is designed. But what could be better than this? The sun, from which all that energy is actually coming from the sun only. This is a small little video you can see. Okay, so So 1.9 × 10⁻22 kilogram. Just that much is the weight of the great sun. Temperature is thus 5505 degrees centigrade. Only this much kilometer is the distance between sun and our great planet Earth. So isn't it such an amazing thing? Okay, so we see like this is common sense that behind this such a great energetic and being or entity like sun, there must be someone greatest power behind or powerful person who actually put them. Similarly, we see there are so many different laws we make in parliament, like recently came up CAB and NRC and so on and so forth. तो उसके बाद वो लॉज क्या होता है, बहुत सारे लोगों के ऊपर लागू होता है, देशवासियों के ऊपर लागू होता है. लेकिन बहुत सारे ऐसे लॉज हैं जो कि सबों के ऊपर लागू होता है. तो उसको हम लोग सोचते हैं क्या उसको कोई बनाने वाला नहीं है. जैसे there are so many laws, these are the laws. Sorry, this is the physics law, thermodynamics law and law of mechanics. ये हर जगह लागू होता है, लेकिन हम लोग सोचते हैं इसको कोई बनाने वाला नहीं है. So then now we have a very wonderful video to know the fingerprint of Supreme Personality of God, the fingerprint of God in creation. So remain quite attentive and let's see.
Around 1200 AD, a man named Leonard Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, discovered a sequence of numbers that created a very interesting pattern. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. A rectangle with a length and width of any two of the numbers of this sequence forms what is known as the golden rectangle, a perfect rectangle. A golden rectangle can be broken down into squares the size of the next Fibonacci numbers down and below. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at the points 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer, a proof of a creator, something left behind indicating the one who was there, a fingerprint. As we scan our universe from the tiny flower to the awe-inspiring galaxy, we see the fingerprint of God.
Okay, so this is very wonderful realization has come upon through the scientist who actually could understand the fingerprint of one person who is actually creating so many things in his own special style. Okay, तो अगर एक डिजाइनर का बनाया हुआ कपड़ा है तो सभी कपड़ों में वो अपना छाप छोड़ता है कि नहीं? उसी तरीके से एक ही डिजाइनर के द्वारा बनाया हुआ जो यूनिवर्स है वो अपना वहां पे वो क्या उसका छाप छुड़ा है। वो कैसे? वो फिबोनाची नंबर में same Fibonacci number with this everybody of us, this thumbnail print is there. Everybody's thumbnail print is actually in the Fibonacci number only. So like this we can find out so many wonderful things. So I will request all of you then please write down some little things what you got from this particular video and some videos before you saw, what you feel like about the existence of God. So I will request all of you, please quickly go ahead in the chat box and please write down just one word what you feel about the existence of Creator or God. Yes, please quickly go ahead. तो मैं आपसे अनुरोध करता हूं कि आप लोग जल्दी से चैट बॉक्स में लिख डालिए कि what you feel about the supreme creator and supreme designer of this universe. Yes, just one or two word, बस एक और दो शब्द बोलना है आपको. Whatever you feel, you can write down. Yes. So this is a very wonderful session in which I expect all of you to be interactive as well. So because this is not an personal class as if like I'm able to see you and personally and you are able to see me, but we have a gap of media. I mean gap of internet. So to fill that up, I'm requesting you all to please write down some few things about what you feel like by knowing about this, or whether this particular video was clear with you. अगर आपको ये वीडियोस आपको दिखा नहीं ठीक से तो मैं इसको फिर से चला सकता हूँ. And I request all of you to write down some few things, some few points, what you feel like that really actually strike into your brain. Okay, I'm getting few comments. Rajdeep, replay. Okay, Rajdeep is saying that it should be replayed. Okay, so how many of you feel like it should be replayed? I think most of you. तो ये actually very wonderful. Actually ये जो बहुत ही इसका accent actually foreigner है तो क्या है कि आप लोग को थोड़ा समझने में मुश्किल आ रही होगी.
Around 1200 AD, a man named Leonard Pisano, better known as Fibonacci, discovered a sequence of numbers that created a very interesting pattern. The sequence begins with the numbers 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, 21, 34, and continues indefinitely. Each number is obtained by adding the last two digits together. A rectangle with a length and width of any two of the numbers of this sequence forms what is known as the golden rectangle, a perfect rectangle. A golden rectangle can be broken down in.
तो मैं बता रहा हूं आप लोग को, फिबोनाची नंबर होता है एक ऐसा नंबर सीरीज जिसमें आप पिछले दो नंबर को जोड़ेंगे तो नेक्स्ट नंबर आएगा। जैसे एक 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 के बाद क्या आया, एक, तो 1 + 0 1, ठीक है। उसके बाद तीसरा फिबोनाची नंबर क्या होगा बताइए, 2, उसके बाद 3, है ना, ये देख रहे हैं,
to squares the size of the next Fibonacci numbers down and below. If we were to take a perfect or golden rectangle, break it down into smaller squares based on Fibonacci's sequence, and divide each with an arc, the patterns begin to take shape. We begin to see Fibonacci's spiral. The spiral in and of itself is insignificant. Its importance is revealed in where we find it. Take, for example, the sunflower. The display of its florets are in perfect spirals of 55, 34, and 21, the sequence of Fibonacci. The fruitlets of the pineapple create the same spiral based on the sequence. The pine cone does the same. As currents move through the ocean and the tide rolls onto the shore, the waves that bring in the tide curve into a spiral that can be mathematically diagrammed onto a plot at.
और यहाँ पे आप लोग देख रहे हैं इतनी सारी चीजें बताई जा रही हैं, सबों का अगर देखा जाए डायग्राम तो सब कुछ फिबोनाची सीरीज में ही आ रहा है। 1 2 3 फिर 3 + 1 4, है ना, उसके बाद फिर 4 3 7, है ना, 7 के बाद 7 3 10, इस तरीके से फिबोनाची सीरीज में ही ये सारी चीजों का गोल्डन रेक्टेंगल में ये कर्व आ रहा है।
The points 1 1 2 3 5 8 13 21 34 and 55. Buds on trees, sand dollars, starfish, petals on flowers, and especially the nautilus shell are formed with this exact same blueprint. With each segment of growth, the nautilus adds to itself one more value on Fibonacci's scale. This blueprint can be seen around us on a small scale every day, but the greatest example of all is directly above our heads. At an average of 100,000 light years across, even the spiral of the galaxies above us are formed with the exact design that the tiny shell is formed. This sequence or blueprint appears to be the trademark of a designer, a proof of a creator, something left behind indicating the one who was there, a fingerprint. As we scan our universe from the tiny flower to the awe-inspiring galaxy, we see the fingerprint of God.
Okay, so hopefully now it will be clear. अब कुछ समझ में आया होगा आप लोगों को कि ये जो फिबोनाची नंबर है वो हर एक नेचुरली क्रिएटेड जगहों पे पाया जाता है। हमारे थंब के फिंगरप्रिंट में पाया गया है, हमारे फिंगर्स का भी जो डिजाइन है, अगर इसको 1 लिया जाए तो इसका बस दुगुना मिलेगा, इसका दुगुना 2, ये 2, अगर इसको 1 लिया जाए तो 1 + 2, इसका एग्जैक्टली 3 यूनिट यहाँ पे है डिस्टेंस, ये फिबोनाची नंबर में है। उसी तरीके से आप जितना भी कुछ लीजिए, even the ocean waves, when it comes in Fibonacci number, even starfish, even the galaxies, and most of the most exquisite beautiful structures are actually made into this particular Fibonacci series. So ये सब naturally हर जगह पाया गया है, and this is called fingerprint of God. मतलब कि एक ही डिजाइनर जो कि एक ही स्ट्रक्चर में बहुत चीजों को डिजाइन किया है। तो मैं जैसा बोल रहा था कुछ समय पहले कि अगर एक ही डिजाइनर के द्वारा बनाया हुआ कोई कपड़ा है या फिर कपड़ों का लॉट है तो पता चलता है उनका फिंगरप्रिंट, है ना। जैसे रेमंड का आप कपड़ा पहनते हो तो कहीं ना कहीं रेमंड लिखा रहता है, हर जगह उनका अपना प्रिंट रहता है। उसी तरीके से दिस इज एक्चुअली द क्रिएशन ऑफ गॉड इन व्हिच ही हैड पुट हिज फिंगरप्रिंट to know that he actually exists. Okay, so now let's go ahead. Now we are actually the end of our today's session. that we till now understood that there could be someone can God, and there are a lot of knowledge unveiled in front of us. We don't know much things. We know in the science also very little things that even Newton has said. And more we are actually researching into the science, more we are feeling and getting that we are actually more and more confused. More and more confused in the sense we are getting more and more complexities. पहले लोग बोला करते थे कि एटम इज इंडिविजिबल, उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि एटम डिविजिबल है, उसके बाद उन्होंने बोला कि नहीं एटम के इतने सारे पार्टिकल्स हैं, सब एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स हैं, सॉरी एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स हैं, एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स सब एटॉमिक पार्टिकल्स हैं. So more they are getting, they are more and more getting confused and laws are not working. तो कुछ समय पहले न्यूटन्स फिजिकल लॉ था, वो बोला जाता था कि हर जगह काम करेगा, लेकिन जब से क्वांटम फिजिक्स आया तब से न्यूटन्स लॉ का सफाया हो गया. बहुत लोग न्यूटन्स लॉ को विश्वास नहीं करते. इवन अगर आप इस प्लैनेट अर्थ के बाहर जाओगे तो न्यूटन्स लॉ वहां पे काम नहीं करता. तो थिंग्स आर गेटिंग मोर एंड मोर पजलिंग. ओके, सो हाउ टू गेट द कंप्लीट नॉलेज? देन क्वेश्चन कम्स, ठीक है हम यूनिवर्सिटी में पढ़ रहे हैं, यूनिवर्सिटी में डिग्री मिल जाएगी, आपने पढ़ा अभी तक डिग्री मिल गई, लेकिन why we are actually studying is actually studying for the knowledge. But does those knowledge actually really going to be always there as it is knowledge, or really we are getting the true knowledge? So this is the question. So now we are at the stage of knowing three ways of getting knowledge. Okay, तीन तरीके हैं जिससे हम लोग नॉलेज को क्या गेन कर सकते हैं, प्राप्त कर सकते हैं. What is that? And in the next session we'll see all those different three ways of getting knowledge more detailed, and we'll conclude with the best and most bona fide and authentic and most reliable source of knowledge too. Okay, so there are three ways of gaining knowledge. Please take a lot of notes. This is very wonderful slide. This particular slide is very informative and should be noted actually. प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण मतलब कि जो हमने देखा वो सही है, ठीक है, जो नहीं देखा वो उस पे हम विश्वास नहीं करते. So this is called प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण. Is one way of getting knowledge. Okay, so this is seeing through senses such as eyes, nose, then sense perception, touch, tongue. So these all things when it is used, then it's called प्रत्यक्ष प्रमाण. Okay, the commonly can be called to be seeing is believing. Okay, so this is one way of gaining knowledge. Second way of gaining knowledge, अनुमान प्रमाण. अगर दिख नहीं रहा है, अगर सुन नहीं सकते है ना, अगर सूंघ नहीं सकते, टच नहीं कर सकते, सेंस नहीं कर सकते, तो अनुमान लगाना कि हो सकता है ऐसा हो, हो सकता है वैसा हो. So in this way also we can get knowledge. Okay, so this is called अनुमान प्रमाण or guessing, could be this or could be that, like that. Okay, so this is also very wonderful way of actually coming to the conclusions, but could be having many fallacies. Okay, and last we have Shabda Praman, means that is called hearing from the flawless source of knowledge. Hearing from flawless source of knowledge, and mainly in Shabda Praman it comes the immense and exhaustive source of all the knowledge that constitutes actually nothing but Vedas. Okay, so these are the three ways of getting knowledge. We shall be discussing the next session. These are very wonderful concepts going to unveil in front of all of you. These are the truths which actually every humankind should have into their life, specifically most intelligent class of humankind must have this particular knowledge to have really a broad vision and enlightened vision in life, so that they could get to their pleasure lifestyle. Okay, so summaries for today's session. We saw the pursuit of pleasure lifestyle is not possible without knowledge of self. तो हम लोग आनंद की खोज करते हैं, आनंद वाला जीवन जीना चाहते हैं, वो ज्ञान के बिना संभव नहीं है. ज्ञान किसके बारे में? अपने बारे में और सुप्रीम cognizant being के बारे में. There must be someone, we concluded, that as supreme creator, artist, maintainer and lawmaker in this most organized universe, there must be someone. We concluded through common sense, we concluded through different great scientist testimonials, and also we concluded seeing through Anuman Praman, guessing, as we saw Fibonacci series number, a fingerprint of God in every sphere of his activities and creation. And then we saw also there are three ways of gaining knowledge. तीन तरीके के रास्ते हैं जिससे आप ज्ञान को प्राप्त कर सकते हैं. क्या क्या है? direct sense perception, that's called pratyaksha praman. Second is called guessing and hearing from the bona fide authority. And second is guessing, and third is called hearing from the bona fide authority. Okay, these are the things we discussed today, and future we shall be discussing accessing truth beyond 40 in the next session. Please join us next Sunday. Okay, so that will be a very wonderful session going to unveil in front of all of you. Thank you so much. So before I stop this particular slide, so I request all of you, if you are there, right there, I think hopefully you are there and making a lot of notes, because I'm not able to see you. So I will just request all of you that please go ahead and give the comment that how you rank this particular presentation and the facilitation. With you can mark me in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars. Okay, so you can go into the chat box, you can write down your comment, whatever you feel like, so that we'll quickly go ahead. So we have Ayushman and Abhishek also. I request both of you that you can fill that form up with a full detail. Your number is missing there, and yeah, Abhishek also, your number is missing, phone number is missing there in the form. You can write down in that. Okay, so if you have any question, any query, you can ask to your facilitators, and you can even ask me. My number is 62954787774. So I just put in the chat box. Okay, sorry. So this is my number, 62954787774. So if you have any query, you can ask me personally, and also you can talk with your facilitator as well. Okay, so thank you so much for today's session, and if you feel like, you can directly go and put some points in the WhatsApp group, like whatever you feel like really take home points. You can write down 2 points in WhatsApp group. That will create a very wonderful atmosphere in the WhatsApp group, as it will be very much interactive. So I request Indranil that WhatsApp group can be enabled, so that others could also write down something, so that I want to see that you have written something which is actually you took with you, right? You took with you something. So thank you so much, all of you, for coming, and I'm able to see here Indranil, Rajdeep, Amya, others, Rishabh, Amit. Okay, so thank you so much, all of you. So goodbye. Seeing you next week. Thank you.